Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Cranky Conrods. And in today's episode I'm going to be answering a few of your questions of where the Mark IV 2.2 diesel Mondeo is. Well, sadly, we've been at the mercy of said insurance company and waiting for their outcome, which, sadly, the Ford Mondeo got written off under category N, I believe it was. Now, the long short hold was, and the whole story was, the Ford Mondeo was being driven, it pulled up to a roundabout, and at roughly 40 miles an hour, it got struck from behind by somebody that was on their mobile phone or driving distracted. So guys, do not drive just with your mobile phones in your hands and stop being distracted. You know, this accident could have been a lot worse. Someone could have gotten hurt. Luckily, no one got hurt. And, I couldn't care less about the Mondeo at this point. Everyone was happy, everyone was safe. And from what I heard, the Ford Mondeo got driven back. So that told me it wasn't too bad. So I'm going to get in, guys. I'm going to show you guys what's actually wrong with the Ford Mondeo. And because it's just been delivered back to ours. So we're going to get back in and show you guys the damage, what has happened to it, and cross our fingers and hopefully we'll better repair it. Because, I like the Ford Mondeo. I like the platform. And, I like this car too. So I was kind of a bit cheesed when it got, bent. But, such is life. And, like I say, things are, as long as people are okay, I couldn't care less. So, let's get out there. Let's show you guys what we got with the Ford Mondeo. Like I say, folks, the Ford Mondeo has been in a bit of a bump. And, yes, this boot is actually closed. Now you can kind of see where I'm getting into with this one. Now, as you can see, the bumper is all in line. The top of the roof, across the boot look, that's still intact and still straight. However, when I start getting around to over here, you can still see the bumper has been twisted slightly and it's under a bit of tension. Look. So we're going to need a rear bumper, a backlight, and you might think, well, this is plastic, there's nothing wrong here. Wow, this dent wasn't even here before. Now, if we lift up said boot, this is what the insurance company have done. They've obviously pulled it all apart and to have a look. And right here, we can see straight away, this isn't normal. It's creased here, and it's most definitely creased here. And if I bring you up here, the boot lid is also definitely creased right there. So we're going to need a boot lid, a bumper, thing. Don't know about that crash bar, but we probably will need a crash bar. Parking sensor. So let's get into this, guys, and rip this apart and see exactly what it is that we're getting into. Because anything like this, you're going to have tons of hidden damage, and that's when it starts spiraling out of control on cost, which is everything that we don't need. Anyway, let's get all this out. Let's start stripping the car down and let's get into it and actually see what we got. Right, folks, so I'm going to get you guys caught up a little bit right now. Somebody's already had a look here, look, for the doodad. I pulled this off thinking that that was the plug. But if you carefully pull the roof liner down, you'll see the harness that's there. It runs down here to this great big ginormous plug right here behind all this plastic cowling. Now all this is like one Phillips screw and two T25s on each side. So two 25s, one Phillips. This trim just pops out, but this just pops out first and hooks out from underneath the roof liner up here. So at the end of the day, we've got that one just unhooked because we don't need to take that one off. This one we needed to remove because obviously we need to get into the harness, and the less I have, the better. because basically I found a new tailgate. This tailgate is bent up here, as you can see, and we've taken off the trims, and as you can see, look, right here there's a stinking great big dent behind that plastic cowling, which was an absolute pig to get off. Anywho, so we're getting into it. So we're going to get this stripped off, get the boot ready to be pulled, and yeah. So I've gone ahead and removed the tailgate. It's been about a couple of days since I touched this mondeo now. So basically, this here, all the scorching that you see, that there was so I could remove the rear spoiler that goes across the top of here. This glue is an absolute pig to get off, because there's like a threaded riv nut type thing that goes in there. It screws up onto the spoiler, and it just clips in, holds the spoiler down, and it helps bond to this glue on both sides. Look. So basically, all I've done is, because we knew the boot was going to be trash, it is trashed anyway, so we just literally scorched the hell out of it just to get the spoiler off. Now you have two 10mm there, two 10mm there, and then obviously you're going to be feeding your harness through your boot lid. Apart from that, it's not too bad. For your handle, which is here, you'll have one 10mm there and one 10mm over there, and then you'll have the screws and stuff for your number plate and that pop in as well along the back. Now, if you've got what you're probably wondering is what's all this rust here also. Now that is from, believe it or not, the rear wiper. The water leaks in from around the seal here, runs down inside the boot lid, pulls up in here. It's rusted out the bolt here, which has caused it to snap, rots out the tailgate, and then it also does in your boot latch. So at the end of the day, if you've got a problem with your boot latch, keep going out, check your seal. It's 3 10mm here, I believe they were, and 13mm on the nut on the wiper blade. So once you remove that, that's all good. And then obviously you've got some 10mm here that hold your backlight in and stuff like that. But this may take 2 of you, 1 maybe, if you know what you're doing. All I done was bounce my head about here, undone the 2 10mm here and 2 10mm there, and then obviously held it with 1 pair of hands and lifted it off the car. So let's get you guys caught up on what we've done to the car. Okay, so as you can kind of see, we've got a different colour tailgate now. Up here, come from a different reg mondeo at Mark IV estate. But at the end of the day, the boot lid's straight, and remarkably, it came with the backlights and stuff, which was an absolute bonus for 50 quid. Now, what I've gone and done, basically, as you can see, the boot now shuts. Handle works, and that is because I've been ahead and pulled this out. There we go. This is kind of pretty much gone. This is kind of still here, as you can kind of see, but if we try and pull this out any more than what it is, the boot latch doesn't work correctly, and so and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is as far as we got with it. The boot shuts, it forms a seal all the way around, so everyone's really happy there. You know, as I say, it's not going to be a perfect job, because obviously it's going to be the costs and whatnot. But anyway, so we've got this all pulled out and the bumper off. And the bumper to remove is something really simple and dead easy to do. Now, if I bring you down to here, There's a Torex in there, a Torex in there on either side. And then if I bring you around to the back, there is a Torex that goes up in there, which is here, and a Torex goes in just there, and it's the same there and up there. And then under here, just here, underneath the very neath of the car, into the spare wheel well, there is two 10mm little plastic nuts that go on there. Now just be careful, because sometimes they can snap. But anyway, nonetheless, the crash bar seems to be relatively intact, you know, so we can't really complain too much there. So for the sake of buying the tool to do the job, which is this great big guy here, and all I've done to pull this out is connect up a ratchet strap to another vehicle that was behind the car and pull it relatively straight. And if I pull this off, look, you'll see that there's the pinch marks. I've just got to clean that up with an angle grinder, you know, put on some primer and stuff. Or we're not going to bother, because at the end of the day, this is what the person's asking for who owns the car. So yeah, it's a lot better than it was. Boots closing, all lines up, body gaps all line up. I'll show you. See, nice even gap. Nice even gap. I mean, there's probably still a bit of thing to do, but the lines across the car, look, are all the same. So I'm just going to finish putting the interior of the boot back together, and I'm going to get you guys caught up when I've got all that put back in, and you guys can see what it's like then. Right, okay, so as you can kind of see now, we've got all of the inner boot liner back in and the floor mat. Just got to put the rubber mat back in. But when I jumped in the car to move it, the boot luggage compartment message was illuminated on the dash. Now, this is, I believe, was it a 57? Yes, it was a 57 plate Ford Mondeo. This is a 57 plate estate boot latch, which works, releases, and does everything as it should. But this is the 2009, and as you can see, they're completely different. Bolt patterns are the same, plugs appear to be the same. Nope, the plugs are not the same, look. That's a 4, that's a 5. And as you can see, look, where the water leaks in from the rubber seal around the grommet, around the wiper arm, this is what happens to them. It fills them up, look, with water, and then it corrodes the plugs out. So if you're getting all sorts of problems with your boot latch, that will probably be the reasons why. Anyway, we're going to go ahead now and put this one back in, because at the end of the day, this one's completely different. Hopefully it'll all work, and it'll all do as it does, as it should. But the reason we swapped it for this one was because obviously this here had the head of a whap. And then all we've got to do here is just get the replacement thing, because all the plastic clips under here are all broke. But yes, as you can see, look, it all lines up, does as it should. But because there's no plastic clips holding it in, it's allowed to run around, but it is what it is. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead quickly, swap these out, and hopefully that luggage compartment message will go away. Right folks, so we've drawn this thing to a conclusion and a close. This is all now lined up properly. The gaps are all pretty decent on the bumper, look. They're consistent all the way down. And this side's all popped back in. All back straight. All we're going to do now is wait for a brand new bumper to come in that we can paint. And at the same time, we'll be painting the tailgate. So at the end of the day, it's going to be not 100% like manufacturer's spec, but at the end of the day, I mean, it all opens, all of the trims back in. We just got to get a new one of these plastic trims for all the clips and that. But for a quick wipe around, that's it. That's all we're doing. and you can't, once you get that plastic piece back on, you'll never even tell that this thing's even had a bump up the bum. So at the end of the day, I think for the sake of 2 or 3 days, a bit of work and a bit of moving, a bit of knowledge, and that puller that's coming clutches, and this is what we say. Sayonara. This one's done, this one's going up the road. So, like I say guys, thanks for watching, and like I say, if you like and subscribe, and that helps me out with the channel, and yeah, helps us move on to bigger and better things. So, peace out.